Dua Lipa recently sat down in an interview with GQ and talked about the double standards in the industry for women, and she said some really interesting things that caught my attention and I wanted to speak on it. She talked about how there's extremely high standards for female artists, going on to say, I remember going to a show by a male artist that actually doesn't do anything on stage, and they got this stellar 5-star review. But then you have women who get up on stage and they're practically doing cartwheels, costume changes, it's a spectacle, and then reviewers nitpick every little thing. And honestly, I agree with her, even I have been guilty of doing this. Women are pressured to be extraordinary most of the time in the playing fields of the big names. They have to be amazing performers and dancers, you have to have a Whitney Houston singing ability, and you have to be energized 24/7. And it's fine if you have all of that, but it's not realistic to expect that from every single female artist. Male artists can get on stage and just stand and sing, and no one says anything. But when a female artist does the same thing, it's she has no stage presence, she's boring, etc. We've all seen male artists like Shawn Mendes just get on stage and sing and stand still in the same spot for almost the entire performance. And let me make it clear, just because there are double standards doesn't mean you're not allowed to criticize a female artist's performance. Say they give the same performance over and over and they're just not present on stage. It is okay to critique them, but male entertainers need to be raised to the same standards. And not only singers, the same goes for rappers too. A lot isn't expected from male rappers live, but a ton is expected from female rappers live. They're expected to give pop star performances, but no one expects that from the men. I honestly think, generally speaking, the reason we expect so much from women is because women have consistently pushed pop culture moments with their performances. The bar is so high because women like Britney Spears, Madonna, Beyonce, Janet Jackson, Lady Gaga, they've all had these huge defining performances that were pushed to the forefront of pop culture. So much so that when others don't live up to that, they get criticized. Now, I'm not saying that makes the double standards fair, and I'm also not saying men haven't had huge performances either. But let's be real, from the MTV era to present day, female entertainers have the most memorable and most produced live performances. I just feel like women are ahead of the curve when it comes to live performances and pop culture. Male artists really put on a show, some can dance, some can sing, but being so good at it, like for instance Michael Jackson was, is non-existent. And even bringing the expectancy down because Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson, and no one will ever probably be able to deliver like he did, there's no male equivalent of a Janet Jackson or Madonna today when it comes to performances. But I will list some men present day who are performing and have incorporated that into their overall craft. And by that I mean it's not occasional choreography, dancing, or performances. No, they've been doing this for almost their entire career. Bruno Mars, great dancer, great singer, great songwriter. He has the entire package and is probably the best male entertainer of this generation. When talking about the overall package, the hits, the dancing, the music videos, he has it all. And even though I may not be a huge fan, he really puts his all into his craft and definitely knows how to put on a show. Justin Timberlake, although being shrouded in infamy now, is definitely capable of delivering good performances. Usher can dance well and sing like no other. I feel like he's also very influential and hasn't gotten enough credit. Then there's artists who aren't exactly dancers and rely more on props, but can definitely give an interesting performance and keep you present. Tyler the Creator. He's been pushing his visual art more and more, and his performances have become more elaborate and theatrical. The Weeknd, definitely not a dancer, but delivers a great vocal live, and he's been pushing his visual art more and more as well. He uses a lot of props, and you can actually tell that he cares about his shows and visual representation, instead of just standing on stage and only singing. But speaking of entertainers, Britney Spears, who's one of the best, recently gave fans a very special gift, changing her 9th album's cover. The album is titled Glory, but the recent cover change had fans thinking her personal life is rather inglorious, and I personally think it's symbolism at its finest. The new cover features her in chains in a desert, and just aesthetically speaking, it's way better than the original cover. But it's also reminded me of what David LaChapelle said when speaking of her original Make Me video on Rolling Stone cover, and it makes me think the Princess of Pop is sending subliminal messages. When talking about the Make Me video, he addressed fans head on in the comments section. I find it very suspect that the video was leaked while Britney was away, he goes on to say. The video and song wasn't released because Britney didn't like it. Her voice as an artist should be respected. The only direction Britney ever gave me for this video is to film her in the cage. At the time, I didn't understand why she wanted to be filmed in a cage. At first, I envisioned to film her as a tigress, but looking back, it seems like she wanted to communicate that she was in jail. For everyone on my team at least, we could tell something was off. He also spoke about her iconic Every Time music video, going on to say, for the video Every Time, the only direction Britney gave me for the video was that she wanted to die. That she wanted to die in the video. Looking back now, it seems to me those were cries for help that she wanted to communicate through her videos. I've known Britney since she was 17. I shot her first cover, Rolling Stone. It was shot in Louisiana at her family home, filled with her pageant trophies. I could tell even back then, something wasn't right. Against greed and lies. He further spoke on it, responding to a fan saying, "It was an ugly scene. I felt like showering after listening to Rudolph. In behind closed doors meetings, it's gross, callous, opportunist type situation." I'm assuming there he's referencing Britney Spears' manager, Larry Rudolph. He then goes on to say, "I have nothing to lose or gain. I see her as someone who is being used, and she has displayed everything from distraught, unhappy, belligerent to scared and alone. I feel like it's because she's been driven there by greedy people. These are my opinions, and my heart goes out to her. Dear Amy MJ people who are adored, yes, but have suffered much, greedy people and lies." So I personally don't think it's a coincidence that she changed the album cover to that. I do think it's symbolism. And yes, it was revealed that she changed the cover herself because it's something that she wanted to do. I hope that she's fine and eventually finds the peace that she rightfully deserves. After working so hard for so many years, she's literally an unproblematic legend and deserves her freedom.